Hello again, my DIY loving friends. I'm Sarah and this is Medicated Housewife DIY where crafting and mental health come together. Today, I've got some jaw-dropping, high-end Dollar Tree wood DIYs that'll transform your home decor without breaking the bank. If you're ready to turn budget-friendly finds into stunning decor pieces, then you're in the right place. So what are we waiting for? Let's go DIY together. For this DIY, I'm starting with this wood dowel like the kind you get at Dollar Tree, and I'm using a pencil to mark 1/4-inch pieces to cut. I'm using a miter shears to cut the pieces, which I will link for you in the description box below. I'm trying to make straight cuts, but the wood dowel isn't so smooth to cut, so I do end up sanding the ends down a bit to make the pieces more uniform. I need a total of 8 of these 1/4-inch cut dowel pieces. I'm using a total of 32 tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree, and to begin with, I'm going to make 8 rectangle shapes using 4 blocks for each of the rectangles, as you see right here. It's 2 blocks in the middle and 1 block on each side of the 2 blocks, all of them standing on their sides. And again, I'm making 8 of these rectangles. I'm using the Beacon 3-in-1 craft glue for this, and I will link it for you below. But you can also use the super glue wood glue from Dollar Tree to do this project as well. So with my 8 tumbling tower block rectangles and the 8 1/4-inch pieces of wood dowel, I'm going to paint all of them using some folk art antique wax, which I will link for you below, mixed with water to thin it out like a stain. I start by painting all the rectangles, and that's the inside, the outside, and all of those edges. I use a paper towel or a wipe to rub the excess watered down wax away, and this leaves me with a warm stained look, but still with plenty of that wood grain showing through. Once all the rectangles were painted, I paint all those little 1/4-inch wood dowel pieces the exact same way. Next, I make 2 sets of 4 rectangles, and I'm going to connect them together. First, in groups of 2, using that small dowel piece, I center the dowel onto the middle of the side of one of my rectangles, doing my best to ensure it's right in the middle, and then glue it into place. And then I place some more glue on top of the tip of that dowel, and then place it against the side of the second rectangle, as you saw me doing right there. I repeat that for the second set of 2 rectangles, and then the third set and a 4th set as well, allowing it all some time to dry a bit. With my 4 sets of 2 rectangles, I want to make that into 2 sets of 4 rectangles. So I center 2 dowel pieces onto the top of one of my 2 rectangle sets, glue them into place, and then center the last 2 dowel pieces on top of another 2 rectangle set, and then glue them into place. Then I apply some glue to the tops of all 4 dowels, and I place the other set of 2 rectangles on top of the dowels with the glue, using some bottles to hold the 4 rectangle set up and in place until both of the 4 rectangle sets are fully dry. I have this bamboo cutting board from Dollar Tree, and as an experiment, I distressed it using a wire brush to really dig into it with the brush. And then I applied some household bleach on top of the distressing, and this is how it turned out. I thought it looked pretty cool, and it makes a perfect top for this riser. I turned the board over and placed my 2 4 rectangle sets on it as the base for the riser. I used 2 tumbling tower blocks as spacers from the edge of each side of the cutting board to place the base pieces evenly. Now, I'm using hot glue to attach these for the sake of the video, but I think E6000 or some wood glue would really make this riser much stronger. So if you recreate this, use a stronger glue. And this is my modern farmhouse wood riser, and oh my goodness, I love the look of this riser so much. This is so my style, I can't even tell you. The color and the tones of the wood and the bamboo, just perfection. To me, this looks so high-end, and frankly, now I want to find a dining table that looks just like this. I hope you love this as much as I do. I'm gushing, I know, but sometimes these things just hit perfectly. For this DIY, I'm starting with 12 of these brown tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree, and I'm making 4 sets of 2 of these blocks attached end to end. I'm using Beacon 3-in-1 glue for this, but the Dollar Tree Super Glue wood glue will also work. Then I turn the sets of 2 on their sides and I attach one single block on both ends of one of my 2-block sets. As you see here, then I repeat that with a second 2-block set and 2 more single blocks. I apply more glue to the tops of all 4 single blocks and attach another 2-block set on top of the single blocks, also on its side, leaving me with 2 large size rectangles using 12 brown tumbling tower blocks. Next, I'm using a total of 6 natural color tumbling tower blocks, and I want to make the same size rectangle as my brown blocks, but this rectangle is going to be open in 2 separate pieces. So basically, I'm attaching a single block in between 2 other single blocks, leaving me with 2 sets of 3 blocks that we will attach together later. Next, I have this Minwax wood filler, which I will link for you below, and I'm going to use a small amount of filler in all the cracks between my blocks on both the brown block rectangles we made and also the natural color half rectangles that we made, just to make them smoother when we paint them and more like one solid piece of wood. And I give that all a little time for the filler to dry. Once the filler dries, I give all the pieces a light sanding just to smooth them all out before we paint them. To paint the natural color half rectangle pieces, I'm using some folk art antique wax mixed with water, and I use a wipe to rub off the excess wax. On my 2 brown rectangles, I'm using this Apple Barrel matte black acrylic paint, and I will link it for you below. I paint both rectangles on all sides and on all the edges, and I think I did a second coat just to make sure they were a deep solid black. Then I put them aside to fully dry. And then it's time to assemble this little chain link that we're creating. So taking my half rectangle pieces and placing them through both of the black rectangles, just as you see me doing here, I use some glue to attach one side of the natural color rectangle piece together with the other side. And then I create a little platform of blocks under the natural color rectangle for it to rest on as it dries. And then I glue the other sides of the open natural color rectangle together, going through both black rectangles. And it is a good thing we're not playing a drinking game where you drink every time I say rectangle, because we would never make it to the end of this video. But anyway, so now I have a 3-link chain made of these wood rectangles. In the meantime, I have this 5x7 glass picture frame from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to carefully take the piece of glass out and use it for this project. Next, what I want to do is glue the 2 black rectangles into the 2 diagonal corners of the natural color rectangle. And I want that natural rectangle to be placed about halfway up the height of those black rectangles. I know it sounds complicated, but watch what I do for it to make more sense. I've also built 2 little support piles of blocks for the natural rectangle to rest on as the glue is drying. I've got this piece of self-adhesive cork from Dollar Tree, and I trace the side of a 2-block set onto the back of the cork, and I do that twice and cut out 2 strips of self-adhesive cork to fit on the bottom of my chain link. And as you can see, I use some hot glue underneath the connections of the natural color rectangle and the black rectangle just to make the whole project a little stronger. I turn my chain link upside down and I peel the backing off the cork and place a strip onto the bottom edge of my 2 black chain links to make the bottom more sturdy. Then I turn it over and carefully place my rectangle glass piece right on top. And this is my chain link glass riser, and this has such a modern look and feel, although admittedly that Dollar Tree glass makes me so nervous because it shatters so easily. It's a little dangerous. If you can find a plexiglass frame piece, that'd be safer, but I think this riser is so cool looking and just a really trendy look, but easy, quick, and super budget friendly. For this DIY, I've got 18 woodcraft sticks from Dollar Tree, and I'm marking them with a pencil at 4 inches long and using my favorite clippers, which I will link for you below, to cut all 18 craft sticks so that they are all 4 inches long. I'm making 6 triangles using these 18 4-inch craft sticks. So 3 craft sticks per triangle equals 18 craft sticks. Making the triangle shape is a little tricky. So I'm using some Starbond super glue and the spray accelerator, both of which I will link for you below so that I can get more of an immediate hold to make these triangles. I found the best way to do it was to glue the top point first and then attaching the 2 bottom angles after. It wasn't perfect, but I did the best I could. These craft sticks are not always perfectly shaped or perfectly straight, so it can be a challenge, but we don't need perfection. We just need 6 triangles. I used a little bit of wood filler on all 3 joints of each of my 6 triangles, partially to make them stronger, but also to make them a little smoother looking and less like craft sticks just glued together. Off camera, I very lightly sanded over those wood-filled joints to make everything as smooth as possible. And next I have a total of 25 tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree, and I start by attaching 15 of the blocks together in a long line, side by side. I used Beacon 3-in-1 glue for this, but Dollar Tree super glue, wood glue works for this too. I attached the 15 blocks together, and then I attached 5 blocks above the 15 that are going end to end. And I did the same thing with 5 blocks under the 15, also going end to end. Now, I changed this up later, as you will see me do in the video later on, but for now, this is 15 blocks in the middle with 5 blocks above it and 5 blocks below those. I used some antique wax and water to paint the entire tumbling tower block base we made, as well as 2 single craft sticks and all 6 of my craft stick triangles. Everything was painted with the water and the antique wax mixture. Until, of course, I changed my mind and repainted all of that, triangles and everything, using the antique wax without any water for a deeper, darker color on everything. For the top of this riser, I'm using this balsa wood blank sign from Dollar Tree, and I marked where I wanted to cut it with some painter's tape and used an X-Acto knife to cut the sign to the length that I needed, and I also sanded the cut edge just a little to smooth it out. Then I gave that balsa wood sign a coat of antique wax on the top, the bottom, and the edges to match all the other pieces. To begin assembling the base pieces of this riser, I grabbed a single craft stick and using some Starbond super glue, I glued 1 triangle right side up to the middle of the craft stick, leaving just a little space on both ends of the craft stick bottom. Next, I glued 1 triangle with the point facing downward on one side, and another triangle also with the point facing down on the other side. I used the accelerator spray with the super glue to help that awkward position of the upside down triangles stay in place. Then I repeated that with the other 3 triangles, with 1 right side up in the middle glued onto the craft stick, and 1 triangle upside down on either side of that middle triangle. I decided I was going to need some craft sticks to place at the top of each of these 3 triangle bases, so I quickly painted 2 more single craft sticks. Then I glued each of those 2 craft sticks onto the tops of my 2 sets of 3 triangles and held them in place with some small clips to dry. I used some of the Beacon 3-in-1 glue to attach each of my 2 sets of 3 triangles on each edge of my tumbling tower block base, and then I gave them some time to dry. And you see, here's where I got rid of those extra 5 blocks on each side of my tumbling tower base because I didn't like the way they looked, so I basically pulled them off and repainted the ends. And using some more of the Beacon glue, I attached my balsa wood top to the 2 craft sticks at the top of my triangle sets. And this is my modern craft stick riser, and although of the 3, this is not my favorite, I think this riser is so interesting. It actually really reminds me of this super trendy console table I've seen recently, and it's a really upscale looking riser that's made out of tumbling tower blocks and craft sticks. Does it get any better than that? Thank you all for watching. I hope you loved these high-end Dollar Tree wood DIYs as much as I did. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more budget-friendly DIYs. Let me know in the comments which DIY was your favorite and why. You know I love hearing from all of you. Until next time, remember that together we're making the world a more beautiful place, one DIY at a time.